All right, let's do some more graphing here. So number one, x minus 1 squared times x plus 1. What are the things I'm going to look for, and what do I care about? So zeros, that's a fancy word for x-intercepts. So what makes the factor 0? It's always that opposite number. So positive 1. It has an even exponent, and that tells me it's going to bounce. The second one, the opposite number to make it 0 would be negative 1. It has an odd exponent, so it's going to cross. That's a good start. The power term, when it's in factored form, it just takes a moment. We're going to take the power term of each factor, and we're going to multiply it together. So the first one is x squared times x. So we're going to add the exponents and get x cubed, and that's going to give us the end behavior. So we know the right end goes up. So as x approaches infinity, f at x approaches infinity, the left end goes down. So as x approaches negative infinity, f at x approaches negative infinity. Next, I'm going to put this on my graph to see where the gaps in my graph are. So I'm going to draw, and I don't have graph paper here, so we're just going to do our best. Right here, we can do it without graph paper. We'll be okay. So I'm going to change colors. So positive 1 and negative 1, and I know the right end goes up and I know the left end goes down. So in between the intercepts, to fill in the graph is only 0. So I am going to find 0, which is our y-intercept. So we're going to plug in 0 and solve it. So 0 take away 1, and 0 plus 1, square it, and you can see the answer is positive 1. So at 0, the answer is positive 1, and then I'm going to complete the roller coaster, so it's smooth and continuous all the way through. The last things I care about are the turning points. So you can see that we have a maximum, a relative max at 0, 1, and see that we have a relative minimum where it bounces, which is at 1, 0. All right, press pause, try number 2, or keep it rolling and get some support. So again, what are the things I look for here? The zeros. So x squared, the 0 is 0. It has an even exponent. That means it's going to bounce at 0. We have negative 2 and we have positive 2. Those are those opposite numbers that make it 0. Both of them have odd exponents. So at both of those numbers, it's going to cross. The power term gives us the end behavior. So we're going to go x squared times x, add the exponents, it's x to the 4th, and then that gives us the end behavior. So positive with an even exponent. That means the right end goes up, that means the left end goes up. So we can now start our graph and see where our gaps are, so we can fill in the full roller coaster and make the whole graph work. So I got 0, I got 2, and I got negative 2. So I can see obviously where the gaps are where I need to fill in. And I said both ends go up. So I can do that. So we have a gap at positive 1. So I'm going to plug positive 1 in and then solve it for the y value. So 1 times 1, 1 plus 2, 1 take away 2. So altogether that gives me the answer negative 3. So at 1, the answer is negative 3. So you can see I'm already beginning the graph. It's almost there. We have one more gap to find, which is at negative 1. So same work, just plug in negative 1. And then I'm going to solve it. So negative 1 squared is positive 1. Negative 1 plus 2. Negative 1 take away 2. And then altogether that gives me the answer negative 3 again. So I go to negative 3 again. Oh, it makes a nice W. And the last thing I'm going to write down is, hey, where's my relative maximums and minimums? So I have a max where it turns up here at 0, 0, and I have two minimums. One minimum at negative 1, negative 3, and another one at positive 1, negative 3. All right, try number 3. Press pause. And then when you're ready, press play and see if we match, or if you're stuck, go as far as you can, and then when you're stuck, press play. So I'm going to start again with zeros. So we have a 0 at -1. It has an even exponent, which means it's going to bounce. Another one at +1, same thing, even, it's going to bounce. The power term, if I go x squared times x squared, so x squared times x squared, add the exponents, you can see the power term's x to the 4th, and what does that mean? So the power term's positive with an even exponent, so both ends, the left end, the right end, they're both going up. So as x approaches infinity, f at x goes to infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, f at x approaches infinity. So both ends go up. You can do a little picture for yourself. Then we're going to do a graph and see where our gaps are. So I'm going to start at -1 and 1. And know that both ends go up. So we really only have a gap in one spot, and that's at 0. So if I plug in 0, which is also the y-intercept, that will then fill in my graph, and I will see all the turning points. So 0 plus 1, 0 take away 1, and when I'm squaring, everything's going to turn positive. So 0 positive 1 kind of makes a W this time. 4. The last thing I'm going to write down is where's my maximums and minimums. So we have a maximum at 0, 1, and we have two minimums. That's at -1, 0 and +1, 0. All right, number 4. It's got your name written all over it. Try number 4 before I do it. All right, here we go. Zeros. We got -2 with an odd exponent. It's going to cross. -4 has an odd exponent. It's going to cross. +1. Even exponent. It's going to bounce. Our power term. X times x times x squared. Added across. That's x to the 4th, which means my end behavior is like before. The right end goes up. The left end goes up. Know how we write that? And practice your end behavior statements. Then we're going to draw a graph and fill in what we need to fill in. So already we know the x-intercepts, which are at 2, -2 and -4, and at +1. And we know both ends go up. So we have a couple gaps here we're going to find out. So the easiest one to start with is 0. So if I plug in 0 and then solve it. So 0 plus 2, 0 plus 4, 0 take away 1 squared. That's going to be +1, so altogether that's 8. So at 0 we have 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up here. Let's see if that's the greatest value or not that we're going to deal with. The next one is going to be at -1. So that's -1 plus 2, -1 plus 4, -1 take away 1 squared. So that's 1. That's 3. -1, -1 is -2 squared. That's not. So that's going to be 12. So we're even higher than that. So I'll estimate where that is. Up here somewhere is 12. And then one more is at -3. So we're going to go -3 plus 2, -3 plus 4, and -3 take away 1 squared. That's going to give me -1, +1, and then -4 squared. It's going to put it all the way. So -4 squared is 16, but the -1 in front is -16. This is going to go all the way down to -16. It's going to be okay. I'm going to estimate it down there. Then I'm going to put it all together, connect your roller coaster, and you made it work. That was a fun one. And the last thing I want you to write down are the maximums and the mins. So we have a max up here at -1 and 8. We have that's it, one max. We have two minimums. So here at -3 and -16. And that's actually an absolute minimum because there's no lower point there. But we'll keep calling it a relative minimum. And then at +1 and at 0. All right, turn the page. We got more to practice. That's so exciting. Number 5. Can you do this without me? That would be exciting. So try to press pause and do that. So we have +1, odd exponent. It's going to cross. Negative 2, odd exponent, it's going to cross. Positive 3, odd exponent, going to cross. Power term, x times x times x, x cubed. What does that mean? Here, I'm going to do this, do this. So that means the right end and the left end. Well, the right end goes up, left end goes down. And know that you know how to write the end behavior statements. All right, we're going to fill in and see, let's fill in what we have, and we'll see what else we need to fill in to make the graph complete. So we have positive 1, we have negative 2, and we have 3. And we know this end goes up and this end goes down. So we're going to fill in at 2. So we're going to go 2, take away 1, 2 plus 2, 2 take away 3, and answer it. Multiply it, that gives me the answer negative 4. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side with negative 1. So that's negative 1, take away 1, negative 1 plus 2, negative 1 take away 3. That's going to be negative 2, positive 1, negative 4. Multiply it, gives me positive 8. Count up, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, somewhere up here. Connect the points together. Oh, and the y-intercept. Let's get that on there. I didn't get that. So 0, 0 take away 1, 0 plus 2, 0 take away 3. So that's negative 1 times 2 times negative 3. So all together with the negative times the negative, that's 6. So like here, that's not a turning point, the y-intercept, but it gives me another point to make it look so prettier. And then we have our max and our min. So we have a max at negative 1 and 8, and we have a minimum at 2. Is it 2? 2 and negative 4. All right, let's see what you got. Number 6. Press pause and try or follow. So x cubed gives me 0. Has an odd exponent, which means it's going to cross, and then negative 2 has an even exponent, which means it's going to bounce. The power term, we have negative x cubed times x squared, so altogether it's negative x to the 5th. So the end behavior, the right end goes down, and the left end goes up. We're going to fill that in right now and see what we still need to get. So we have 0 and negative 2. And we see the right end goes down, the left end goes up. There's only one value to fill in, which is at negative 1. So we're going to go negative 1 and then negative 1. So negative 1 cubed is negative 1, and another negative makes it positive. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1, and then 1 squared. All of that's positive 1. All right, turning points. So we have a maximum at negative 1 and 1. We have 2 minimums at negative 2 and 0, and that's it. Sorry, just 1 minimum. So 1 maximum, 1 minimum, and we're done. All right, number 7. 2 more left. One of these has got to be yours when I don't do it for you. Let's see if this is the one. So press pause and analyze and graph it. We have a 0 at 0 as an even exponent. It's going to bounce. Positive 3 is the opposite number to make it 0. It has an odd exponent that's invisible that you don't see. That makes it cross. The power term, negative x squared times x is negative x cubed, which means the end behavior as x approaches infinity, the right end goes down and the left end goes up. We're going to graph this and fill in what we need to. So I have 0 and 3. There are 2 numbers I'm going to fill in. Well, first of all, let's do this. The right end goes down and the left end goes up. So I want to fill in at 1 and 2. So I'm going to plug in 1 and see what answer it is. And then I want to see which one gives me the greater number. That's going to be my turning point. And then 1 take away 3. So this is negative 1 times negative 2, which is positive 2. That's one answer. I think the other one will give me a bigger answer, but we'll see. So the next one is at 2. So 2 squared, and then 2 take away 3. That's negative 4 times negative 1. That's 4, so it's a little bit bigger. And then you can connect and make your graph. Last thing we're going to write down is what's the relative minimum. It's at 0, 0. What's the relative maximum? And that's that turning point, which is at 2 and 4. All right, we got one left. Oh man, it's the longest one. Here we go. We got this. Zeros has an odd exponent. It's going to bounce. No, it's going to cross. Negative 2, odd exponent. It's going to cross. Positive 2, odd exponent. It's going to cross. 4, odd exponent. All of it's going to cross. Power term, x times x times x times x. Add all the way across. That's x to the 4th. Which means the end behavior, the right end goes up and the left end goes up. All right, we're going to fill this in with the graph with the end behavior and intercepts. So we have 0, we have 2, and we have 4, and we have negative 2. And I said both ends go up, and we have lots to fill in here. So I'm just going to start left to right. So negative 1. So negative 1, negative 1 plus 2, negative 1, take away 2, negative 1, take away 4. Let's see what kind of answer this gives me. So one step at a time. So negative 1 times 1 times negative 3 times negative 5. So that's going to be negative 1 times 15. That answer is negative 15. I'm going to do each one so I can get a sense of the scale first. All right, negative 2 times, no, not negative 2. What do we got? Sorry, positive 1. So positive 1, 1 plus 2, 1 take away 2, 1 take away 4. So that's 3, that's negative 1, that's negative 3, that's positive 9. Got it. And then the last one is at positive 4. Oh boy, this might be the big one. And see, we can change the scale to what we need to. So it'll be okay. Not 4. I didn't read right. 3. Let's do it right. So 3, 3 plus 2. 3 take away 2. 3 take away 4. We'll see. This is 3 times 5. And that gives me the answer negative 15. So negative 15 is as low as it's going to go. So negative 1 and negative 15, we'll put that way down here, connect. Positive 1 gives me 9. I'm going to put that here. And then again, 3 gives me negative 15. So super big W. And then somewhere I'm going to find the relative maximum. I'm going to put it right here. So the relative min, the minimums are at negative 1 and negative 15 and positive 3 and negative 15. And the maximums, there's one maximum, and that's at 1 and 9. That's it. All right. Mr. G Math, till next time.